What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Behind the Mind podcast, where we untangle the weird, wonderful, and sometimes terrifying threads of the human mind. I'm your host, Caden.
And your co-host, Caleb.
Today we will be talking about what social psychology and counseling psychology is and how they affect us. Now, social psychology offers some powerful insights here.
Oftentimes in culture, we see people being shaped by the things they're surrounded with. So like people's way of thinking, people's actions in reactions to things. And essentially that's what social psychology is the idea of being transformed by the culture around you. So it's essentially just that, but there's something interesting about it because it's this idea of like, say your parents, for example. Your parents believe something, right? And oftentimes what we will do as kids of our parents is take on what they believe. Now, of course, we're going to challenge our own beliefs and things, but we're going to trust our parents. We're going to trust society around us, because that's the way we are as humans. We tend to flow that way.
Yeah. I feel like that, like, because we change from our society, it's a double-edged sword, because we can either grow from it or just decrease from it, like in a way where we're like, let's say something bad happens to us, some might look down on it, or some might won't. And I feel like psychology also plays a role in how we learn from it, or how we, I guess, downgrade from it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think to build off of that, next year I'm going to, of course, college. I'm going to study journalism, but I'm also taking a class in psychology with a professor's name's Dr. Richard Beck. And he and I have briefly gone over this in sort of this way of trying to understand how people react to things and how they first feel about things, but then try to move out of just their feelings and try to look at the objective truth in front of them. So, like, one example is sometimes people will act reactionary to the idea of trauma. So if I feel some sort of way about something, sometimes I can react emotionally, I guess, estranged, because of how I've had things happen to me in the past. So like, for example, if a family has parents who didn't treat them well as a child, sometimes children will act, when they get older, they'll act distant from the idea of authority at all. So we'll see moments like that where kids will act reactionary to things, and sometimes we have to take a step back in those moments and realize, okay, what is good for me and what's not good for me.
Yeah, I feel like one thing that we learn from an early age is good and bad. But you know how last episode we talked about, like, movies can influence how we see that? I feel like because we see movies that have good and bad, like antagonists and protagonists, we can see a better depiction of good and bad.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely see both sides of that, for sure. And it's I mean, we briefly went over it last episode, but yeah, for sure, movies definitely shape us in seeing how the result of one person's thinking can lead to either good or bad.
Yeah. One thing about counseling psychology is that it's kind of all learnative in a way. Like, obviously, there's counseling in helping our psychology and mindset be better, but also there's psychology of counseling where changing our mindset throughout the experience that we have in our life. Like, let's say someone experiences something traumatic or almost just bad, right? They will obviously develop, I'm trying to figure out how to word it,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't really want to like take your point there, but also, I mean, yeah, for sure they'll act sort of against that in a way.
Yeah, like, and they could like lash out or something. And I feel like counseling will help that, but also throughout our life we will experience many different things, and that's kind of what counseling psychology is, just to kind of help us throughout the experiences that we face in life. And I feel like one thing that I've kind of learned throughout life already is that we'll face many different challenges, and pretty much they're all almost identical. Because like in life you can only experience so many things, where it's like one thing is very similar to another, and because we all have so similar experiences and how we react to things, we all grow together in a way. And I feel like that in a way kind of leads back to social psychology.
Yeah, I think those two are definitely intertwined in that. Like it's about a culture that we learn from each other, and we grow with each other.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess to add on to your point, I mean, for sure we're all seeing the same patterns of everything, and I think that's something that even some of the greatest like thinkers of all time have pointed out, is that there's nothing new under the sun. It's all the same, in that all problems are a source of something. And I think that's where people tend to go, is where they try and find their source, like, of where they can change and stuff like that, and how they can become better or find their source of happiness.
Yeah. I've always like wondered, is happiness better than joyfulness?
Yeah.
But I feel like the more that I've experienced things throughout my life, I think I would consider joyfulness is better than happiness, because happiness tends to leave a trail of destruction.
Yeah, and I mean, joyfulness, I would say, is the eternal product of happiness. So it's happiness is this sort of thing where we get a treat and then it goes away, and then like it's something fleeting. It's something that just we get for that very small portion of time. And joy is something that will happen throughout our life, even when we're struggling in things. So we can find joy in things like when we're going through hardships, because we know we can get out of that.
Yeah. And you ever like are filled with joy to where you like, I don't know, like gives you strength to do something, Yeah.
Yeah, it's a strength within us that empowers us to do better.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes that'll like even have that joy within me to like lighten people's day or something.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's all that we have for today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. And this is Behind the Mind podcast.
Episode 2.